Around the world, we are seeing people come up with new brilliant ideas and joining together to protect the environment. That includes scientists, artists, activists, and young people. We'll meet some of them today. Welcome to Eco Africa. I am Sandra Kahumza Twinovideo, right here in Kampala, Uganda.
That's right, Sandra. When it comes to new solutions, we need science, of course, but we also need art, history, and culture to spark those ideas and mobilize people and entire communities. I am Chris Alems, joining you from Lagos, Nigeria. It's great to have you with us. Here's what's coming up. Why activists in Nairobi are gathering data on air pollution. And how a Hungarian artist is promoting upcycling and equal opportunities. And how the return of a statue to Congo has sparked an environmental revival. But first, we head to Côte d'Ivoire, which, like so much of Africa, is working to reduce unemployment and help protect the environment. And the country is making some real strides towards a green economy. New green tech jobs are sprouting up there, jobs that didn't even exist just a few years ago. Let's take a look.
Change is underway in Côte d'Ivoire. Previously unexpected opportunities are upending the job market. For example, Linda never dreamt of working at a fly farm, and now she's surprised how much she loves it. As for Stefan, he decided 4 years ago against the traditional career path and created his own profession in urban agriculture. And Ava is learning to set up carbon projects in the forests of the interior of the country as part of a pioneering project in Côte d'Ivoire. What do these three young people have in common? They are all working in the green economy as part of the country's ecological transition. When Linda started at the fly farm, her first days were difficult. She hated being around the maggots and flies that are bred for animal feed.
I was so afraid. I didn't want the flies to touch me. I said I was going to wear long sleeves.
But the hardest part for Linda was dealing with her family's prejudice about the unusual profession she had chosen.
They said it was bound to affect my health, that maggots are a dirty thing, that everything we do here is practically nothing but dirt, since we use waste and all. But it was a bit weird at first. They didn't really accept it. I said that instead of staying at home and being a burden, it's better for me to learn and discover something new.
Today, the young woman is proud to call herself an entomologist and has even convinced her mother to join the company. In another part of Abidjan, Stefan is also doing a job that didn't exist when he was a student. After completing his geography studies, he wanted to be an urban farmer, but found no company to take him on. So he set up his own business, offering training courses to individuals and schools.
For me personally, it was a way of not depending on the traditional employment system in Côte d'Ivoire, which is you leave school, you look for a job in the public sector. It was a way of showing that you can create your own job and be financially independent.
Stefan and Linda are on a green career path, but they are still in the minority. With many green job opportunities going unclaimed, the Ivorian government is keen to entice more school leavers.
Green jobs aren't what you might call sub-jobs. Perhaps it's this aspect that we don't manage to make clearer to all those looking for work. So much so that when we direct them towards green jobs, many refuse because they think they are sub-jobs. But they are decent jobs.
In 2022, the ministry launched its integrated strategy for the promotion of green jobs in Côte d'Ivoire in an attempt to promote these sectors. News has spread abroad with some young graduates like Eva coming from Europe to learn a new trade. The 26-year-old is working as a carbon project manager, but she still lacks the experience needed to carry out a forest inventory by herself. Today, An experienced agronomist is showing her how to categorize trees to find out whether this forest could be a successful carbon project.
I've never done this kind of thing, so it's all new to me. Forest inventories. I've never done this kind of study. So we need to work together. I know all about carbon and the carbon market, but not at all about the field. So we really need to work hand in hand to achieve our goal.
After returning to Abidjan, Eva shares her carbon market knowledge with her colleagues. As everyone in the team is discovering the rules of the carbon market at the same time, it's both a challenge and a real professional opportunity for all involved. The dynamic growth of Africa's sustainability sector has caught many by surprise. It has also prompted the International Labour Organization to publish a directory of green jobs and professions.
The aim of this catalogue is to support vocational and technical training structures in their mission to accompany Côte d'Ivoire in its development, which today is taking the path of ecological transition. So it's to help them accomplish this task. This catalogue has this first aim, and the second is that it will help companies that are already established to become greener.
Stéphane, too, is raising awareness and boosting skills in the green economy, but he's doing it in Agboville, 80 kilometers from Abidjan. He wants to reduce the growing skills gap between the economic capital and elsewhere.
People living in the interior of the country don't have the same opportunities as people in Abidjan. So for me, it's important to come and create a new ecosystem in my field that will enable them to have access to the type of employment that is beneficial to their environment.
Whether it's Stéphane opening minds to new green career paths, Eva sharing in the development of new sectors, or Linda embarking in a surprising new direction, the green economy in Côte d'Ivoire is giving young people the chance to work towards a better future.
Moving now to Germany, where changing conditions in food and farming are also on the agenda. For much of the world, wheat is key to food security. But due to global conflict and extreme weather, parts of the world are facing a grain shortage. So, could be more resilient to these factors? The answer could lie in the climate chamber of a research facility near Munich.
Could this delicate little plant help fight food shortages? The wheat in this climate chamber is still only 7 centimeters high, but in just 10 weeks' time, this special variety will be ready for harvesting up to 6 times a year.
It's growing well. It's already flowered, as you can see here. The green biomass dies, and what's left behind is the grain in the ears. We can provide long periods of daylight to boost growth. We don't have to set special times where it's cooler or warmer. We can cultivate the plant at a steady temperature of, say, 23 degrees, and daylight lasting 18, 20, or even 22 hours. And of course, that allows for a harvest with a high yield.
The team from the Chair of Digital Agriculture at the Technical University of Munich, which is also funding the project, control and test various key factors such as light, temperature, nutrient supply, and most importantly, water. They mainly use a water-nutrient mixture so the water can be recycled, as well as a layer of water that doesn't evaporate. This means that water consumption is up to 95% lower than in agriculture. In recent years, water has proved to be the most unpredictable factor in agricultural production. In Germany, wheat production remains relatively steady. But around the world, it's in decline. Droughts and floods are taking a severe toll. Growing wheat indoors could be viable not only in regions affected by drought or flooding, but also in Germany to reduce the negative impact of agricultural production on the environment.
It has many advantages. The water requirement is extremely low. We have no negative impact on the environment, on biodiversity. We don't need crop protection. We can control nutrients in a very targeted way. But we do have a high energy input, as well as the technical setup, which has a CO2 footprint. As things stand, it would be rash to present this to the world as a solution, but it's a building block, one element in the food production process.
There's already interest from countries like Singapore, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates. For reasons ranging from lack of space to water shortages, wheat grown indoors is a promising option.
It's surprising ideas like these that are helping us find promising new solutions. And the inspiration can come from arts too. Take one museum that opened not too long ago here in Nigeria, which is using works of art to show some beautiful ways that trash can be turned into treasure.
That is so true, Chris. And another thing that makes this museum special is that it doesn't just put art on the walls to look at. The founder of this museum wants to make it a hands-on experience. Let us check it out in this week's Doing a Bit.
Welcome to Nigeria's Waste Museum. It showcases works of art made entirely out of discarded materials, such as used plastic, car tires, and aluminium cans.
I started asking questions, what can we do with the waste that we generate instead of throwing it away? And nobody could give me the answer because it's like a stupid question. What is waste meant to be used for if not to be thrown away? But I just couldn't, give up on that idea, and I was trying to look for what else we could do with the waste.
In Ibadan, southwest Nigeria, the museum attracts a lot of visitors who support its mission.
Initiative would help curb diseases and sicknesses that are needless. And then we'll create a sustainable environment, a greener environment, and a place where we can all enjoy our lives better.
The initiative includes teaching young people how to upscale waste into functional, durable, and affordable products. Founder Jumoke Olowokere is a strong believer in creating value through recycling and upcycling waste.
Every single waste that I'm able to save is like I'm on a rescue mission. For every waste I'm able to save from ending up on the landfill, from ending up in the ocean, that's my motivation. That's what keeps me going. So if I'm able to save 10 kilograms of plastic bottle today, I'm like, ooh, let's do more tomorrow.
Our next report takes us to a music and visual arts festival in Hungary that is committed to sustainability. There, we meet a woman who turns textile waste into art, and that is more than environmentally friendly. It is also just beautiful.
Every year, it's an integral part of Hungary's Ozora Festival, a rich kaleidoscope of colors made out of lengths of fabric arranged in large-scale patterns. And what's more, they're all sourced from used materials, mostly discarded clothes. The majestic installations were conjured up by Angela Tez from the city of Pécs, in the southern part of the country. In 1997, she turned her love of spinning, knotting, and weaving into a business concept. And 2 years later, she started recruiting staff for her company, Textile. Many of her employees are people with physical or mental disabilities. For them, it's a welcome opportunity to join the workforce.
I rework materials and use them to make carpets and other items. That's important because we'd otherwise be drowning in trash. You could say we're recycling the fabrics.
Europeans throw away 11 kilos of clothes per head every year, with just 1% being recycled. These days, the majority of people's clothes are not made of cotton and other natural materials.
Clothing is hazardous waste. Most clothing items are made of synthetic materials that nature cannot take back.
The fabrics processed by Ray Textile are donations from local residents. Plus, a second-hand store in the area hands over items it can't sell. Interested parties can place orders for the new items via an online shop. They often come with information on the proportion of used fabrics and the amount of manual labor involved. Every year, Ray Textile processes several thousand kilos of used fabrics. Materials that would typically end up in a landfill are given a new lease on life here.
Sustainability and social justice, a marriage made in heaven. Art is a great way to spark awareness and change, as we just saw, but so is information. In Nairobi, Kenyan activists and experts are gathering hard and fast data on air pollution to empower ordinary citizens to become change makers. Let us take a look.
This is the device that could help transform everyday life in Nairobi. A small sensor measuring air pollution in the city center. Mainly to blame for the poor air quality, outdated petrol-fueled motorcycles and diesel-powered minivans known as matatus. For decades, urban planning advocate Humphrey Otieno has called Nairobi home. He works for a joint project between the city government and the UN exploring ways to make Kenya's capital greener. He is particularly concerned about the matatus choking the capital streets.
They are coming from different routes, but all different routes, they all terminate into the city. So they terminate and end in the city, which is not a good thing. So this has brought a lot of pollution into the city.
Street surveys conducted by his organization have found higher incidence rates of bronchitis in places where matatus plied their trade. But anecdotal evidence like this can only go so far. Driving big policy changes on a citywide level will take harder data that Kenya's government does not have yet. This is where Sensors Africa comes in. The organization develops and assembles devices for environmental monitoring and climate action.
African cities and Africa in general does not have data on the air quality levels. And because of that, we have increasing terrible air pollution levels, right? So it's important for us to begin collecting this data, to be able to compare it and see whether there's any health impacts.
But sensors are expensive. That is a problem that Alicia Olago's engineering team is working hard to solve.
We call this a low-cost air quality monitor. And the reason being is that it's relatively cheaper compared to the reference grade monitors, which cost, tens of thousands of USD.
The casing components are 3D printed, and the team shares the blueprints for their modified design freely online. Citizen scientists anywhere in the world can legally replicate the device without charge, bringing the cost down to under 300 euros. Commercially available reference-grade models can cost nearly 100 times as much. The team frequently head out to inspect and maintain the sensors they've installed in different parts of Nairobi. And more city dwellers are requesting the devices. People like Gideon Maura, the shopkeeper, has asked the manager of the restaurant above his premises to host a sensor for him.
So the table is... the battery is full. So this thing is working perfectly.
It's working perfectly.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I get our staff are being affected because the chest pain. There's a lot of coughing. Every now and then, they must go to hospital for checkup. Now we are able to present the data to the authority so that we can have evidence to be able to improve our life. We have wrote so many letters to the Nairobi County about the noise pollution, about the matatu here, about the smoke. but no action has been taken. So we are hoping through this data collection, maybe we have something to prove to them.
Sensors like this can give a clear picture of air quality in specific locations. But what would help to tackle air pollution in the city? The United Nations Electric Mobility Program advocates for a shift to electric vehicles. Alex Conner says transitioning away from conventional combustion engines needs to be incentivized economically, and that targeting two-wheel transport is a good place to start.
20 years ago, there were almost no motorcycles in Kenya. Now we have about 2 million motorcycles, 250,000, 300,000 motorcycles added every year. And if you would electrify them, this has a definite and significant impact on greenhouse gas emission reductions.
Progress is being made. Kenya now boasts an electric motorcycle taxi fleet. And the government has ambitious targets. Within 5 years, 100,000 e-motorbikes are set to roll onto Kenya's streets. So more and more people will be able to hop onto cleaner transport, like urban planning advocate Humphrey Otieno. And who knows, these much needed air pollution sensors might be redundant soon.
Knowledge really is power, and not just scientific knowledge and hard data. Culture knowledge is vital too.
That's true, Sandra. In our next report, we head to a village in Democratic Republic of Congo. Not long ago, a very important cultural artifact was finally brought home, and that's helped spark the movement to reclaim the area's stolen culture and restore its depleted environment.
A wooden statue of a colonial administrator has returned home to Lusanga. The sculpture of a Belgian official who was killed during an uprising in the Congo in 1931 has been lost to its country of origin for around 50 years. Thanks to the effort of a local artist collective, the Congolese Plantation Workers Art League, it is now a temporary loan from the U.S. Museum that has owned it since 2015. Today, many young people don't even know the history of this sculpture, but we do know the power that lies in it, which is why we insisted and took so many steps to have it returned to us. And the fact that it's coming back to our native soil, we believe brings us a lot of positive energy, because the hands that touched this work were sacred hands. Positive energy and also funds. The collective uses the proceeds from their art and now also from sales of digital images of their wooden statue to buy exhausted plantation land confiscated in the colonial era and start reforestation projects. European-owned palm oil plantations severely reduced the region's once dense rainforests. The artists believe the reclaiming heritage and cultural identity goes hand in hand with restoring biodiversity. We use art to get more resources to buy land, because with the help of land, we are going to plant the forest again and bring back the sacred forest that had disappeared. With a population of over 95 million and a poverty rate of around 60%, DRC ranks among the world's nations most vulnerable to climate disasters, according to the World Bank, and it's seeing a surge in frequency of climate extremes. What we are doing means a lot, and it's a noble struggle. When we talk about global warming today, it's because of the deforestation. You know, everywhere you look, there used to be huge forests, and when the white men came, they cut down all the wood to use it, and cutting down the trees is what caused everything we are experiencing today. The collective aims to reforest as much as 2,500 hectares with the goal of bringing back biodiversity, providing food security and mitigating climate change.
Initially it was 20 hectares, but today we are 230 hectares. Our dream is to have 2,500 hectares, because we believe we will create a carbon sink, in other words, a solution to the problem of climate change.
And in the process, they are correcting past injustices and planting, regenerating and nourishing back into existence the forest of Lusanga.
Now that is really inspiring. So many great ideas to take with us today. I'm Chris Alems, and it's goodbye from me in Nigeria.
And I am Sandra Kahumza Twinobdio, right here in Kampala, Uganda. Thank you for joining us, and do check out our Eco Africa online platform for more fascinating stories, or write to us at eco@dw.com. See you all again next week.